Welcome, everybody. How's your week going? Another CIRF report on deck, November 10th through the 16th. And are you ready for another tidal wave of energy, but this one very specifically emotional? Let's go surfing. Does it look like I'm actually surfing? You know that guy's face, that shadow on there? He's got a bald head. So it's got to be me. All right. Here is our summary slide. And guess what I forgot to do? Get the pointer focus out. Here's our summary slide. Big congruency score. Bigger than, it's overlapped. So according to the I-Ching, this is a good overview of the astrology. It's basically great vigor. Now, the first thing you'd probably think of in an energy like great vigor is a lot of fire signs. That's not really what we have going on in the astrology. The great vigor, and you'll get more clarity and context when we read the I-Ching about this, but it is very commensurate with the grand water triple trine. So there's this huge watery trine, so easy energy between water signs, making emotions very big, very profound, as well as some other things like transpersonal mysticism, connection, all the things that water signs typically have, but there's a lot of it. Now, the great vigor can also be with the Grand Cross. That's going to be in the middle of the week, our surf week. So like later on in the weekend, we're going to be talking about the astrology day by day. But the Grand Cross, very pressured, conflicted, very feels like there's tension in the air. And then in the backdrop, you have this triple trine things, grand water trine. So a lot of energy being exchanged. And one of the coolest astrological layouts, I think, that is just going to be splattered all over this week, including the last day of our surf week. Now it's going to be the 16th. Next Wednesday is going to be this, like, it looks kind of like a star thingy where every single planet has multiple alignments going to it. You don't see that very often. Heavy on fixed signs. We have the T-square, so lots more pressure. This is another pressure cooker week, but we have the only easy lines here are the big, hefty energy exchanges. There's that multiple trine that we're going to talk about, and it's water to water. So it's lots of emotions going back and forth. And in addition, then, in the tropical astrology, represented by the biggest circle here, is the Venus and Mercury combust. So they're both weakened. Venus extra weakened in Scorpio, the huge trines I talked about, and those are to Neptune and Jupiter. So sort of a water planet itself is Neptune in the home of Pisces, and Jupiter exaggerating everything that we're gonna see there. So Jupiter and Neptune sort of on the outer edges of a conjunction, but that makes this so Venus, Mercury, and Sun are going to have this hefty, huge trine to Neptune and Jupiter all week. And then Neptune and Jupiter is going to square Mars in a retrograde. We'll talk about all that, and that's going to be on a part of the T-square. Disregard that. The T-square is Uranus and Sun is on the other part of that T-square, but that's the Saturn T-square that's there until the 20th. So that conflict is there. Then the grand water trine, we have a grand cross, we have 4 retrograde planets, and finally, if that wasn't enough, Venus going into Sag. So all of a sudden, Venus becomes much more of a thing, much more powerful. Luckily, like archetypes like peace, harmony, and beauty, love, passion is a lot more pronounced in Sag. Free to do it too, you know. Then Dreambot, the collective unconscious, and we're going to go through that first, is talking about states of consciousness. That's a really interesting meme that I found in there. And then there's this bigness. There's words that just indicate profound and big, and that's all over this great vigor and all over the astrology. It's right in the center. It's talking about the Grand Cross, but mainly this huge trine that is the focus area this week. So big overlap, tidal wave of emotions. Oops, I forgot to put that circle off to the side. Anyway, are you ready? We're going to nail down the we're going to go through the dream bot. Then we're going to nail down day by day astrology, tropical. And then we're going to shift into using the I-Ching. We're going to shift into the solution. So you'll know how to behave, how to react to the emotions. You'll also be able to predict what other people are going to feel. And hence, depending on their free will and depending on their personality and their level of awareness, let's say, if they're acting very reactionally and very subconsciously and habitually, then they're just going to be acting the same patterns than they did before. But if they're watching this video, they will also know how to react to the big emotions that are going to be everywhere. All right, with that, let's get started. And I have just a couple of announcements here. First one is thank you for all the comments and feedback in the last video. I know that's a sort of a pain for a lot of you to hear, but I do like to just take some separate time and respond to the comments. And I thought we had some fantastic feedback. I've already incorporated some of those that I'll mention here. And one of those is to get onto BitChute. And so I went over to BitChute. For some reason, didn't know that we already had a channel over there. So I posted the last video and boom, 70 watches without even advertising or talking about it. And so there is a audience over there. Welcome, BitChute. We are now going to officially post each video over to BitChute and Rumble and YouTube. I'll do a cross check over to Facebook. It'll be a link. And so there's plenty of places to subscribe. But if you haven't subscribed to BitChute, we don't know which or if any one of these platforms is going to close. So you might as well subscribe over there and just subscribe to National Dream Center and get ready. Otherwise, we will continue to grow all these platforms together simultaneously. Now, Odyssey, I'm considering, I haven't even gone there to kind of scope it out, but that was one of the suggestions. So what do you all think? Do you like Odyssey? Do you want to see it over there? There's going to be a limit on how many platforms I can reasonably post to. So at some point, maybe if we have too many, I'm going to prioritize, and I like 3, BitChute, Rumble, and YouTube. I am open and accepting to Odyssey if we have some support there. And then for a lot of you, so the last big video was that last big CIRF report was the Great Implosion. So we had the lunar eclipse, blood full moon in Taurus, and we called it the Great Implosion. Now, metaphorically, it was exactly that. We talked about why that is, but we were thinking as above, so below, or at least I was, that they might see this great implosion in the material world. Well, we kind of have it. I mean, you can kind of make an argument that here and there, but not like this overarching big implosion, the Great Implosion. So what's going on there is, remember, the eclipse energy is a snapshot of the next 6 months-ish until the next eclipse season happens. And so what's really important in that eclipse snapshot is, in fact, the Great Implosion. And so what that could mean is that probably means it's not going to be a one-day implosion thing. Certainly wasn't this last week, but it's going to be a gradual implosion over the course of the next 6 months. So doesn't that sound so encouraging? Now, it's probably more likely on this timing if the metaphor of great implosion is going to be manifested in the material world. It will probably happen over the course of the next 6 months. All right. So those are the comments from my side. Now, from your side, the best comment, the winner, number one, was not for me to say, was 7 Ups over on YouTube. And we already talked about that comment. So positive and goodness that will prevail. Amen there. And then number 2 on a different video, not for me to say, was 6 Ups. I think some Chris shorts would be awesome. That was one of the great suggestions I got. And I've got good news for you. I'm planning on starting my very first short. I've got the OBS all set up, and I'll be starting that on YouTube. Now, I don't have any shorts or anything for the other platforms, but let's just start small, something manageable that I can do. And so look for that and give me some feedback once that comes out. That'll be later. I haven't recorded it yet, but we'll do that soon. And then over on BitChute, already had a comment over there. So I want to shout out to the rebellious meat puppet. Damn, you really know your stuff. Well, thank you. Thanks for that comment. And I'm looking forward to some growth and some good things over on BitChute. All right. With that said, congratulations, all you. And let's look at the DreamBot. The red arrows is the meme called states of consciousness. So it's all, now I've got it in segmented or dashed lines. Coffee, because, when you drink coffee, a lot of us are changing your mind state or your level of consciousness to do that. Much more focused, and maybe for some of you have better energy, etc. I drink coffee throughout the week, but don't notice any difference in mental states. I certainly don't drink it for energy. All right. And then the other one is a book. So a lot of us have a different level of consciousness or state of consciousness when we're reading, depending on what the book is. As kids have different states. Taking chances, taking risks is a certain mind, so you even have the word consciousness in there. And then the blue are just big words: bunch, huge, tiger, incredible. The number one word with a 64 point surge scale score, which is above what would be considered a medium to high surge score. The number one word is incredible. So that speaks to the big grand trine, the grand water trine, the emotions that are going to be big. And then appointments, we can skip that. You can read that if you'd like. Going back to the astrology now. Here's as I darken just a touch so you can see where the cursor is easily. The big news this week, we're in between these big vertical lines. Remember, the eclipse was last week, last CIRF week, which was just a couple days ago. If you're watching this on Wednesday the 9th, is the big news is this trine. There's a lot of trines here. It's a lot of blue and a few inconjuncts. I'm sorry, blue. I meant green. So a lot of green, which indicates trines and sextiles. There's going to be a hidden opportunity. I'm going to be talking about that. That's a really important one this week, the hidden opportunity. Try to remember to focus in on when I talk about the hidden opportunity, because it'll be your key to success this week. Lots of trines, and the blue is inconjuncts. So adaptions and change. All right. Starting with Thursday, there's a lot of lines. Remember, we're coming off of an eclipse chart that was really, really organized. It's starting to get a lot more chaotic, but still organized, especially in this area, the Scorpio area, Venus, Mercury, Sun. And they're pretty much separated from the south node, all past the south node, but ego is still technically conjunct with the south node. So ego still invested in thinking about the past and what's happened in the past and maybe obsessed about it, which is the Scorpio ness of it all. And then you can see this big hefty trine, easy energy from Scorpio to Pisces. So 2 water signs. Neptune, ruler of Pisces, is in Pisces, conjunct with, it's a loose conjunction, but technically conjunct with Jupiter. So it makes everything more extreme. And we, voila, have 5 planets in a trine. So it's a big, hefty, easy energy back and forth. This is where your big emotions are. This is going to last all week. And then halfway into the week, we're going to get this glorious grand water trine. It's going to explode everything, make everything bigger. On the flip side of easy is tense and conflicted, pressured, which is this hefty square from the Scorpio planets to Saturn. And this T-square, remember, is going to last until the 20th of November. And it is going to produce this pressure of limits and challenges. And on that T-square, this becomes the heavy focus area. Even with this easy energy going back and forth, emotions themselves, emotions is the biggest probably archetype underlying the water signs. And so those are largely subconscious. So conscious, taking most of our conscious attention is going to be this limitation, challenge, refinement, honing, strengthening, challenging Saturn. Father time is in there, so time is a big focus area this week, and Uranus. So part of that T-square is Uranus, and then our Scorpio planets that we mentioned. So this is a heavy conscious focus area. Underneath all that is the easy energies, the easy emotions going back and forth. And just because it's easy does not mean it's going to feel good. For a lot of people, these big emotions are going to be hazardous, going to be uncomfortable, are going to be easy emotions aren't necessarily good emotions, right? And we're going to give you some advanced techniques on how to handle that, just that dynamic right there. I'm going to give you some techniques at the end, very practical ways of handling those typically subconscious emotions. And then the other thing to remember is the pressure to act upon optimistic dreams, as you've got Moon approaching Mars in a retrograde, square over to Neptune and Jupiter. So this extreme fantasy or exaggerated fantasy or very optimistic dreams or exaggerated pressure. Exaggeration is a Jupiter thing, or excessive. Maybe you overact on the dreams, or maybe there's extra pressure on the dreams. There's emotions right here, right? And as you can tell, the moon, as it progresses forward, does represent the emotions, is going to be one of the points on the grand water trine. So ironically, the big emotion planet Moon will be on the grand water trine. Moon in home of Cancer, but that's coming forth. Last thing on this first slide that's going to be here all week is this hidden opportunity. It's Pluto on a double sextile, and this in astrology represents opportunity. So it's an opportunity for you to gather your power and control, and it's going to be deep within, because that's where Pluto is, hardly seen, tiny. And so we have a lot of this energy you're not going to notice until you're looking for it. So you got to direct your attention inward. And in order to do that, you got to get out of your head, because mind likes to dominate. mind likes to tell stories about what you're feeling. So you're not really experiencing what the world really is or where your Pluto control and power is. You can't access that if you're up in your head. And we'll cover that towards the end as well. But there's an opportunity here, and it's only going to get stronger throughout the week, is Pluto is going to represent your power for success, power for finding the right way forward, power for relationships, because there's that sextile with weakened Venus. There's an opportunity also in Neptune and Jupiter. So the synchronicities, so you can create your own luck if you're aware of this alignment, right? Because Jupiter is luck as well. And so that old adage that you create your own luck is a very appropriate thing for Pluto sextile Jupiter. Okay. All right. So all of that continues into the next few days. So we'll just compare what we talked about with how things are changing. Friday the 11th, you've got more trines here. So more energy, more refinement, closer in aspect. So tighter and more profound. You have the pressure of this triple square over Saturn. It's waning. Not that it's all that weaker per se, but the conflict and the pressure will start to diminish each day. So it's starting to diminish here. Now in its place, we're going to get more pressured as the moon conjuncts with Mars. And this just pumped up. And now your biggest risks now, because we are in a pressured situation, and a lot of that is your emotions and the desire to do stuff. You're way ahead. Your action forward is Mars. And so all that is motivating, right? So you got big emotions, pressured emotions, and the need to do something, Mars. Well, where's it heading to? What is it pressured with? Escape. Neptune is the planet of escape, drug use. Also some positive things as well, transpersonal things in nature, connectedness, just dreaming. But escape. That's the point here, because of the Mars and Moon together. Very emotional motivation to do stuff. And with Neptune there is, can't stand it, gotta go escape. And it's very impulsive. And so the need to escape is a big foot stomper this week. Is this, you're going to do that unconsciously. Escapism happens day in, day out for most humans. We're escaping discomfort. We're escaping emotions that don't feel good. You know what? Consider this. I'll give you a point to ponder if you want to stop here, is press pause if you want to, is think about how many times we escape positive emotions like pride. Some of us have been ingrained in our childhood that pride is bad. So celebrating becomes hard. Celebrating can be a form of escapism because we can't really access those emotions and let them be there. They become a discomfort. So we go escape, drink a bunch of stuff, woohoo, cheer, and because the pride in and of itself is unacceptable. Consider that and look for it this week, because it'll be part of your emotional set. Saturday the 12th, looky here. We got Pluto in Capricorn with now double its opportunities. So the stakes are higher. The pressure underneath that to Saturn is more diminished. We have the same amount of easy energy between water signs, so lots of emotions. We have Moon, it's just entered into Cancer and is going to prepare for her grand water trine. So emotions are getting maybe clearer, maybe more significant, harder to ignore. Can't say good or bad because you're going to feel them all. You're going to feel them. And again, we'll talk about later when we get to the solutions, we'll talk about how to handle these emotions. This is your very robust grand water trine. This is on Sunday the 13th. It's going to last for roughly a day and a half, 2 days, as long as this alignment here, the moon, it's not starting at 121. I don't know when this thing starts, but it's going to be in the morning of Sunday. Might as well just consider waking up since Sunday the 13th, and there's going to be this grand water trine. This chart is made for the climax of moon, trine, sun, right? It's a segment or a dashed line, but they're at exactly the same points in their respective water sign, 21 degrees and 23 minutes. And this I consider the climax of this grand water trine, because the sun and the moon are perfectly in alignment in a trine formation. And this is actually what I'm going to use in our conversion chart for the rave and the human design. And I got this climax because this is going to be representing your probably the climax of the energy that you'll feel from emotions will be right here at about 1:21 p.m. Sunday afternoon, the 13th. So that's Central Time, Standard Time. And what else? I think that's about it. I mean, there should be spending a lot of time on this chart since it's the biggest one. You can start to see the Grand Cross forming here. You can also see the abundant amounts of inconjuncts, and one of those is Mars. Mars in a retrograde, so sort of repeating past patterns. But changing, adapting. These are inconjuncts, which go to our weakened relationships, weakened mind. Mercury still combust with the sun, still parallel with the sun. But that is quickly changing, by the way. 6 water signs, 6 planets in water signs. So that's the heavy emphasis, is everything water. Including that is our interconnectedness with each other, the oneness aspect, the nurturing nature, the interpersonal, but the emotions of the interpersonal. Every time you've got someone in the room, there's an emotion there present. It's the energy between the two, even if it's neutral, even if it's content, there's still an emotion there. And that's the very, very water sign-ness archetype. Monday the 14th, still massive. And we still have remnants of the grand water trine. Everything else sort of weakening except for the Pluto power opportunity, double power opportunity there. And again, wait for the solution slide for that. Tuesday is when the Grand Cross appears, and this is with the moon in Leo. So we have one planet in a different type of sign. So air, water, fire, and earth. And they're all conflicted. They're all 90 degrees out. It's not a perfect one, or not at exactly the same space in their respective signs, but close enough to consider this a pretty tight, conflicted, pressured, grand square. Also of note, you've got the 2 oppositions. You got the Sun oppose Uranus, and we've got Saturn oppose Moon. And so that's included in every grand cross. And now we have, so with that, you have the same amount of easy emotional energy. So everything's all pressured up, extreme conflict and pressure, making the trine, this mass, even easier to feel like escaping. Why? Because Neptune is on this big, hefty trine, this emotional trine. So just the pressure of it all will be a motivator for you to escape, because it's on this easy energy. escape from relationships, escape from thinking about escaping, ego, feeling intimidated and vulnerable and wanting to escape, or feeling optimistic about leaving or escaping in some manner, or feeling good. This is a very tricky alignment. So the downside of this easy energy is it's easy to screw up. It's easy to be impulsive. It's easy to make a mistake, a karmic mistake. And so we don't want to be acting impulsively this week. That's one of the things we do know. Wednesday, the 16th, this is what I was talking about. It almost looks, if you step back, almost looks like it's forming a star. And in a way, it is if you include the trine, but technically not. Star is very unusual. It's used as the inconjuncts. You've got the sun on that point, Mars, moon has its point on the star, and then obviously Jupiter and Pluto. Pluto's definitely got part of the star because you've got two inconjuncts. I think this is a really magical alignment. A lot of adapting. Everyone's adapting. A lot of emotion, like we talked about before. Venus now freed from Scorpio, but still in a very light, weakened state from the moon, combust. But I think this is going to be a really refreshing, and for your relationships, for ability to harmonize and love others and be able to potentially understand it. Now, we want to be untethered. The Venus aspect wants to be untethered in a Sagittarius environment. So it's wanting to be free, to be themselves, but to see it in a higher aspect is a much, Sagittarian point of view. It's a philosophy. It's a sitting higher than the rest, just observing low, or I guess that'd be more of an air sign. We're on the flat plane. That Sagittarius with the arrows is just once flat, easy to run, and it can be very impulsive. So in a sense of Venus can be very impulsive here. Now get this. This is added fodder to the idea that you're probably going to be impulsive this week. This is the pressure with moon in Leo. So the emotions need to be recognized, but the whole point is now your relationships that sort of want to be free and untethered and higher level and philosophical are being pressured by the emotions that want to be recognized. So this creates a power struggle. That's the last thing we want, because you want to have a power struggle. That's another quickening motivator to go escape. So, and notice Pluto still has 4 opportunities there, at least 4, maybe 5 there. I can't quite tell. It's all crumpled together, but it resembles a star formation. Isn't that pretty cool? Not technically, but it looks like it resembles it. All right, into the I-Ching we go. And when we toss the coins, the first hexagram is for the influence. The influence is great vigor. It's derived from a lot of things. The grand cross, the grand trine, the big trine, the hefty trine between Scorpio and Pisces. But congratulations, there is a strength and vigor in this situation, like that of a ram that knocks down a fence to free himself from captivity. That's interesting. This points to a time when strong force comes into its own and asserts its power. The power part of this is harnessing the Pluto opportunities. Without that, I don't think you have a perceived point of power, but only from the discomfort of the emotions flying everywhere. Okay, that's what makes you very impulsive this week. Line 4. The determination of a strong force brings success. A powerful person's strength is often hidden, as this And this is as it should be. The lesser the show, the greater the power. That's exactly there. It's commensurate with the Pluto aspect, the opportunity there. By quietly bringing inner strength to the outer world, resistance dissolves and great achievements become possible. This is part and parcel to your ability to ascertain your inner strength from Pluto and bring that out. Not to control others, but to bring success for yourself. Line 1, possessing great vigor does not assure success all by itself. Attempting to advance prematurely or too quickly through forceful efforts will bring misfortune. So that is the foot stomper. Don't be impulsive. Don't escape this week. Don't escape your emotions this week. Don't be reactive this week. The opposite of reactive, emotional reactivity, the opposite of that is dissociation or repression, trying to pretend like the emotion's not there. And that's equally awful. And especially in a week like this, it's very motivating, as indicated by the great vigor. And so what do? Well, here's the solution. We're starting the solution. 46, hexagram 46 is pushing upward. Make a sincere effort to apply determined effort against forces of inertia by bending around obstacles that arise. The Saturn T-square is going to bring you obstacles, going to bring you challenges. You don't just stop there. You go around, you go through, you go over. It doesn't matter. According to this I-Ching reading, you deal with it, you move around it, you resolve it, and good fortune will follow. Willpower and self-control are necessary to manage growth properly, but an inner enthusiasm for life is what drives it. So enthusiasm can be derived from Jupiter. That's part of our energetic, emotional exchange between Scorpio and Pisces. All right, here's our conversion chart. Remember, this one was on Sunday at 1:22 Central Standard Time. And that's because Sun and Moon are in a perfect trine. We pick the Sun is in hexagram 43 of the Rave, and we have Sidereal Libra is where this energy is. So we're going to go there for the rest of our solution. In human design, gate 43 is called breakthrough. In order for achievement to be maintained, a new order must be fairly established. Wonder what that means. And go specifically into line 3, it means expediency, the powerful drive for regeneration that will, when breakthrough is threatened, use any means, align with any force, and endure condemnation to achieve the goal. A certainty in knowing which can withstand condemnation. Whew. That's a mouthful. And I'm going to break it down for you by going into the solution slide. So this is going to be our composite slide. Take the highlighter off, and I really need another sort of break there before I introduce this. But anyway, make sure that you have subscribed over to YouTube. That's where these new shorts are going to be. I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 per week is my goal. But also get on BitChute, subscribe there, get on Rumble, or at least one of those in case YouTube goes down or collapses, or I get booed off the stage here at YouTube. Never know. All right, November 10th through 16th. Influence overview. The alignments on the sun tell the story of what to expect energetically. The ego is pressured by lack and hardship, square to Saturn. This boosts the easy trine energy to synchronicities, luck, spiritual connection, mysticism, and optimistic visions. Optimistic is Jupiter, vision is Neptune. Opportunities for ego to harness magnificent power and control from Pluto and Capricorn. Never forget that. this week. Access your deepest power. Okay, that's direct for ego. Instead of ego whining and feeling bad about some emotions or getting reactive with anger or getting impulsive to escape with Neptune, then remember, sink deep inside, quiet your mind, and access your inner Pluto. And it's going to be associated with a goal, an achievement. So do something. That's the great vigor. It's the hidden opportunity there with Pluto. All right, emotions are dominant and provide endless energy if harvested properly. That's a foot stomper. So with that, let's go into our triangulation for the solution. Remember the I-Ching said push upwards, basically about self-control, but flexible, being flexible and pushing against inertia. So the image here of pushing upward is the little seed that develops a seedling and starts pressing up through the dirt. That's the inertia. Those are the gravity and whatever else, which is keeping you from breaking through the soil and developing a plant above the dirt. So it's be determined, push upward and be flexible. Don't quit. And then the rave says breakthrough. Boom. It's the powerful drive for regeneration that will, when breakthrough is threatened, use any means, align with any force, and endure the condemnation to achieve the goal. Whew. This is a powerful week, and we don't have a whole lot of fire signs to work with. It's just that emotional power underneath. And then we got to weave in the Sidereal Libra, diplomatic, balanced, objective, charming. All right, here we go. Overall triangulation. The solution clearly derives its core suggestion directly from the influence energies and stellar alignments. The tidal wave of emotion this week should not be directly acted upon. Let me read that again. The tidal wave of emotion this week should not be directly acted upon. It'll bring misfortune. It'll bring escapism. It'll create more problems. It'll create regretful action. All right. So the steps that you need to enact, what I'm recommending is for each emotion that pops up, it should be recognized. How many times do we emote and don't even know that we have an emotion present? So we want to have our arms, our mental awareness around every single emotion. We don't want to have an emotion that goes unseen in ourselves. So recognize that we have an emotion, then accept that emotion. Remember, acceptance isn't just a mental state, it's a body state. The body state of relaxation is commensurate with accepting. So you can mentally say, I accept this grief, and then your whole body is convulsing and tightening and trying not to cry and all that stuff. So that's not accepting either. So acceptance is a mental state. I accept this emotion, but it's also a body, muscular. Reduce the tension in your body. Body acceptance has no tension. And then once you accept it with the mind and body, then organize it and store it. And then it can be channeled. Now, this is a really advanced thing to do, but I'm going to teach it to you right now, just really quick. Maybe I think I might have an organization meditation, a guided meditation that I did a long time ago. I don't know for sure. I'll go look for that and see. If I find it, I'll put a card up here for you. But in long story short, the energy in your body follows your attention. So what you can do, you know how a lot of these emotions feel very motivating, very chaotic inside. If you can see the emotion as energy, and you can almost in a way meditate to a place in your body that will organize that energy, because it feels so chaotic. And what you want to do is close your eyes. Imagine maybe you're upset, maybe you're angry, maybe you're irritable. Anger is very chaotic. It's very motivating too. So I just sit there, don't behave, don't do anything. Close your eyes and mentally imagine put your attention on, say, the third eye, and hold it there until you start feeling the chaotic energy moving towards that. Then you imagine a line that basically goes all the way down your back, over your head, and then down your back, down your spine. You do this very slowly. And as you imagine this journey that your attention goes to, the energy will start to organize as you do this. And it's one big circle. So it's down your spine, through your buttocks, basically the first chakra, your gonads, and then up the front, up the belly button. And you just put your attention on each point of this highway, and you probably do it a lot slower than what I did with my hand. But eventually that energy will get organized and you'll feel it organized. So in that regard, you don't have this chaotic anger anymore. You have a heightened energy state from the anger that has now been organized. Okay. And that's how you store it. Then this triangulation is all about how to channel it. In other words, now you have is basically called a human battery. You have this extra energy in you. Now you can apply it to whatever you want. And this is called channeling. So you envision the action that you want, the goal that you want, the achievement, and you place that energy onto that label. So you want to reorganize the garage. It takes an enormous amount of energy. Well, you can use this stored energy for maybe one intermediate project in there, or maybe for an hour's worth of work. And so you imagine, as you have just organized that energy with your eyes closed, you can imagine doing a specific task in the garage and attaching that, almost gratitude for that energy, applying it straight to that task. You envision yourself doing it, and then now it's just up to going to do it. And now you've got this is boots on the ground, the material side of things, actually going to do it. You don't have to do it right now, but when it's right, you go do it, and you use that extra energy that you acquired. So here's some more material on channeling, and this is the triangulation that we got. Remember, it will be easy to feel like escaping your emotions, and you're going to be high risk for impulsivity, but don't do that, all right? After recognizing, accepting, organizing, and storing this energy, this emotion, this triangulation shows you how to channel the emotional energy. The I-Ching advises us to be flexible and to push upward against momentum. And momentum or inertia of things that have been keeping you down. This is how you use the RAOSC method. The rave, remember, offers the continuum of power and drive that can withstand condemnation or not. You're going to recognize condemnation or not as you're pushing forward, as you're breaking through. Now, in my opinion, I don't think we should have any issue with condemnation after 2 years of just sheer belittling, right? Who agrees with me? And then finally, use the Libra solution to see justice in a charming and gracious manner. So with this Libra solution, it's really important that we put on a role that looks just as serene, confident, not reactive, not emotional. You don't want to be looking like you're emotional, but still not being gullible, not being naive, not being surrendered, not surrendering to anything that doesn't agree with you. So it's a very delicate balance, but I think the only way you can do that with the level of emotion this week is to do the recognizing, the accepting, organizing, storing, and channeling each emotion, big or small. Now you can have, so as an example, if you do the RAOSC with one emotion, and you haven't yet seeded or channeled it, you still have it in storage. So you could theoretically have like 6 to 10 emotions all built up in there. They're not chaotic. They're not repression because you've organized it. It's just extra energy. And so now with that extra energy, now maybe I can do the whole garage as an example, or do that thing that was a lot harder. Start the book you were going to write, or something that employs a lot more energy. You can wait until you have more emotional energy stored up. All right. Then we have the affirmation that I plan on using. I will not back down or employ escapism. I will use my power and push upward. Unashamed. That's the rave part of it. Unashamed, uncondemned. Okay. But again, this should not be a reaction. This should be a conscious, channeled from the emotional stored energy. All right. Whew. There you have it, folks. Did that in 51 minutes. And now go work on a short for you. Let me know how it goes. And we will see you in the next CIRF week. Bless every one of you. Love and light.